I received a frantic call from my cousin, who sounded incredibly shaken. He proceeded to share a spine-chilling story involving his brother, dad, and their best friend, who had decided to experiment with a Ouija board in the basement of their house. Before delving into the Ouija board session, they had taken a large porcelain doll out of the room. Its eerie presence had made them uncomfortable, so they placed it face down on a pile of towels in an adjacent room. With everything set up, my cousin's curiosity got the better of him, and he excused himself to use the bathroom, leaving his dad, brother, and their friend to begin the session without him. As they started asking the board questions, it initially seemed like nonsense, with random letters and numbers being spelled out. But then, something unsettling happened. In response to the question, "Who was in the other room?" the board started spouting a series of numbers. When my cousin returned to the room, his brother showed him the answer and said, "Dude, that's my social security number." Alarmed by this eerie coincidence, they decided to continue communicating with the entity, seeking further proof of its presence. They demanded that it demonstrate its abilities. Astonishingly, the planchette spelled out the word "duh," sending a chill down their spines. A sense of dread overcame them, and they couldn't ignore the ominous atmosphere that had settled in the room. Determined to uncover the truth, they mustered the courage to open the door to the room where they had left the porcelain doll. What they discovered froze them in their tracks. The doll, which had previously been lying face down, was now standing upright, staring directly at them. Terror gripped everyone, and in a state of sheer panic, they sprinted out of the house, leaving their disturbing encounter behind. In an attempt to eradicate any lingering negative energy, their best friend decided to burn the Ouija board. However, this act seemed to have unforeseen consequences. Following the incident, their friend's mental state deteriorated, and he exhibited signs of instability for several months. In a peculiar turn of events, my cousin, perhaps influenced by the unsettling message received during the Ouija board session, made the decision to join the Air Force. Currently stationed at a base in Europe, he seeks solace and purpose in his new path. Meanwhile, still reeling from the story my cousin shared, I invited some friends over to my place. Little did we know that the tale of their Ouija board encounter would continue to haunt our thoughts, casting a shadow over our gathering and leaving us with a lingering sense of unease. For years, an old Ouija board had been tucked away in our family's oversized closet, surrounded by a collection of neglected board games. Every time I caught a glimpse of it, an insatiable curiosity gnawed at me, urging me to unravel the mysteries it held. Yet, the presence of my family always deterred me from trying it out, as the idea of delving into the realm of the unknown in their presence felt discomforting. But fate had a different plan. A particular weekend arrived, granting me an extraordinary opportunity. My parents had decided to embark on a city trip, while my brother set off on a Boy Scout campout. With the whole house to myself, an exhilarating sense of liberation washed over me. Oddly enough, my excitement wasn't centered around partying with friends. Instead, I was consumed by the prospect of finally testing the enigmatic Ouija board. The weather mirrored my anticipation, with fierce winds and relentless rain transforming the night into an atmosphere ripe for rituals. As midnight approached, I seized the moment and set up the Ouija board in the dining room. I carefully dimmed the lights, enhancing the ambience. Eagerly, I initiated the session, bombarding the board with a multitude of questions. However, the planchette remained motionless, denying me the desired connection with the supernatural. Eventually, I accepted defeat, stowing the board away and retiring to my bed, hoping for an uneventful night. In the heart of the night, an unsettling sound disrupted my slumber. Creaks emanated from downstairs, originating near the front door. At first, I dismissed it as inconsequential, attributing it to the relentless winds. But then, the creaks persisted, growing closer and closer, gradually ascending the stairs. Unease began to coil around my senses, intensifying my concern. Another creak, distinct and near. It was unmistakable. Someone was in my house. Panic gripped me, and I realized the absence of mainstream cell phones rendered calling the police an impossible option. The relentless creaking grew louder, almost as if taunting me, until it reached a crescendo right outside my bedroom door. Abruptly, the eerie noises ceased, plunging me into an unnerving silence. Stifling my breath, I strained to hear any sign of movement. The room remained shrouded in darkness, the only respite coming from a fleeting burst of lightning that illuminated my surroundings. In that transient moment, I gasped as my eyes caught sight of sinister, black limbs coiling around the door frame. Fear clenched my heart, urging me to remain still and silent, for I knew what was to follow. A sudden, violent slam shattered the oppressive silence as my bedroom door was forcefully closed, sealing me inside. My shriek escaped involuntarily, tearing through the air. Trembling, I sought refuge beneath my covers, sobbing and paralyzed with terror. A chilling realization washed over me. Something malevolent had invaded my sanctuary, and I was defenseless. I remained under the covers for what felt like an eternity, my mind a whirlwind of terror and unanswered questions. The storm outside raged on, mirroring the tempest within me. As dawn approached, a glimmer of courage flickered within, urging me to confront the aftermath. Tentatively, I peered out from beneath the covers, cautiously surveying my room. It appeared exactly as it had before, devoid of any supernatural presence. Summoning my remaining strength, I ventured out of my room, my footsteps echoing through the silent house. I scoured every corner, searching for any sign of a break-in, but everything appeared normal. No broken windows, no unlocked doors. It was as if the harrowing events of the night had been mere figments of my imagination. However, my gaze eventually settled on the Ouija board, which had somehow found its way back to the dining room table. A surge of superstition washed over me, linking the inexplicable happenings to the malevolent energy harbored within the board. Without hesitation, I discarded the accursed object into the outside trash can, determined to sever its hold on my life. Since that fateful night, no other inexplicable incidents have occurred. I've chosen to keep the haunting experience to myself, knowing that sharing it would likely result in skepticism and disbelief. Only those who have walked the treacherous path of the supernatural would comprehend the chilling truth embedded within my words. The online community, to whom I've confided my story, holds the understanding and belief that nobody else can offer. Deep within me, I hold an unwavering conviction that the events I endured were undeniably connected to the Ouija board, a haunting reminder of the power we unleash when we venture into realms beyond our understanding. Ever since I can remember, we've always had one of those old vintage Parker Brother Ouija boards sitting in our closet, collecting dust. When I was a kid, I always wondered what it was. From the box, it seemed like a harmless board game. However, one day I discovered what a Ouija board really is, and I immediately dug it out of the closet. I insisted that my brother try it out with me, and after some persuasion, he agreed to play along. We placed our hands on the planchette and I began asking the typical cliché questions like, "Is there anybody there? And can you answer me?" My brother jokingly moved the planchette around to imitate an answer from some kind of entity, but there was no real response. After getting bored, we put the game back in the box. That night, I did a little research to find out how to make Ouija boards work. Many people online claim that the most ideal environment for using a Ouija board is in a dark room only lit by candles. So, when our parents weren't home, I managed to gather 6 or 7 candles and convinced my brother to give it another try. I lit the candles and set them around the table in the dining room with all the lights out. We sat down and tried the Ouija board again. I asked once more if there was anybody there. To our surprise, the planchette began to move. I told my brother to stop moving it, but he swore he wasn't. I asked him to move his hand away, and he did, yet the planchette kept moving. My brother thought I was messing with him, but I didn't pay attention to his skepticism. The planchette landed on the word yes. At this point, I was only 9 years old, and I was genuinely scared. My older brother took over and asked the question, "Are you a good spirit?" There was a 5-second pause before my brother's hand moved along with the planchette, pointing to the word no. We both looked at each other, alarmed by the response. In a panic, I ran to my room and shut the door behind me. I could still hear my brother continuing the so-called game from downstairs in the dining room. Suddenly, his voice turned into a piercing scream. Terrified, I rushed back downstairs to see what was wrong. I found my brother holding up his shirt, revealing a small open wound that almost looked like a claw mark. He urgently instructed me to grab the Ouija board and head to the fireplace. I obeyed without hesitation. He tossed the board into the flames, and as it burned, he told me never to speak of what happened to anybody. It was clear that he was deeply disturbed by the encounter. From that day forward, we never used a Ouija board again. The experience left a lasting impact on both of us, and we decided to leave the mysteries of the spirit world untouched. The vintage Parker Brother Ouija board remained hidden away in our closet, a haunting reminder of the dangers that lie beyond our understanding. One evening, while in Europe, I had some friends over, and we stumbled upon an abandoned Ouija board discarded amongst someone's garbage. Intrigued by the mysterious possibilities, we decided to try it out. The board, accompanied by the glass piece used for communication, was in our possession. The 4 of us gathered around the Ouija board, filled with a sense of playful curiosity. We asked silly questions, deliberately moving the glass piece around to deceive one another. As the night progressed, one friend excused himself to use the bathroom, while another grew bored and left the game. That left just me and one other friend, both still holding onto the glass piece. In a moment of both fascination and trepidation, I mustered the courage to ask the board a chilling question: "When will I die?" To our astonishment, the glass piece slowly began to move, inching towards the letter T. I exchanged a glance with my friend, assuming he was behind this eerie act. However, he denied any involvement, insisting that he believed I was the one moving it. The glass piece continued its unsettling journey, spelling out the letters O-M-O-R. Dread washed over me as I realized it was spelling out the word tomorrow. My friend and I were left stunned, the piece coming to a sudden halt. While I desperately wanted to believe my friend was responsible for the movement, his genuine denial left me unnerved. But the horrors were not confined to the realm of the Ouija board alone. The following day, as I walked my dog towards a nearby preserve, an unforeseen calamity unfolded. Suddenly, my dog's collar snapped, setting him free from his leash. In a panic, he darted into the road, oblivious to the danger. I sprinted after him, the blaring sound of an oncoming car's horn amplifying my desperation. In a last-second maneuver, I managed to swerve out of harm's way, my foot grazing the passing vehicle. Still reeling from the near tragedy, I returned home, seeking solace. However, the day held further terrors in store for me. While sitting beneath the full-blast ceiling fan in the kitchen, I rose to retrieve something from the fridge. Abruptly, a cacophony of crashing sounds filled the air behind me. I turned to witness a scene of devastation, the table's glassware shattered, fragments littering the floor. The fan, once securely fastened to the ceiling, had plummeted, narrowly missing my head and sparing me from a potentially fatal fate. In the wake of these chilling events, I couldn't dismiss the haunting question: was it merely a coincidence that the Ouija board had seemingly foretold my impending demise, followed by 2 brushes with death the very next day? The experiences left an indelible mark on my psyche, cementing my resolve never to dabble with a Ouija board again. The whispers from beyond had revealed a darkness I had no desire to confront further.